Hi, I'm jewelry designer Wendy Brandes. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I try to do one a week. This video is for people who are interested in getting into the jewelry industry, though I think some of the information also applies to any kind of career change. I was at the career fair offered by the Gemological Institute of America on Friday, and we didn't do any video there, so I'm just going to kind of repeat some of these things that I said there in case that helps anyone. And I would say that I would do it word for word, except I totally freestyled that whole panel. It was all like off the dome. So I was on this GIA panel with three really fabulous people. Seriously, I love them all. They were all three from kind of jewelry families. This is a very family-oriented business. You meet, I think one of the people she was 5th generation. The others were at least 3rd. So I'll start now with the piece of advice I ended with for the GIA career fair attendees, which is my first recommendation in getting in the jewelry business is be born to a jewelry family. So if you're watching this, you're probably already born, so it's too late to go be born into the right family, but maybe you can get one of them to adopt you. I mean, I'm kind of kidding around, but kind of not. It's what people say when people say that it's not what you know, it's who you know. A lot of times you'll interpret that as being, oh, I got to know someone like rich and famous at the very, very top of their game or in the industry. And with someone who's been in this kind of industry for generations, it's not that you have to know this one peak person. It's that you have a business already established. You have a customer list already. You have your manufacturers, you have your vendors, you have your packaging company. You're kind of born into this thing where you have a lot of connections already. And if you're not born into a jewelry family, like I wasn't, and I've been trying to get adopted, but so far no luck, it means you have to start all of that from scratch. And you can do it. It's just that you need to put that into your mental timetable that you're going to have to do these things that other people, make these connections, do this networking that other people would just have at their fingertips. I also should point out that just because you're born into a jewelry family does not mean you have it made. People struggle in those companies sometimes. Those companies also go out of business. There is no industry or business really where you get to a certain point where you're like, I don't have to do any more work on this anymore. I have it made. People tend to think you get to the top of your game and you don't have to work anymore. It just happens automatically. Well, even if you're at the very top of the world that you're in, you're still going to have to work to maintain it. So and things change. Your industry changes, you change, your customers change. So I'm not saying that that's some kind of guarantee. So just, it's helpful, but you still have to work at it. So how do you make connections if you're not born into a Rolodex? Well, you talk to as many people as you can. You definitely should get out to events like the career fair. It was open to the public. It was free. All you had to do was register. So that would be a great thing to go to their next one if you're interested in the jewelry industry. There's also other conferences that I often have listed on my blog. So you can check those out, sign up for those when you can. And I spent a long time talking to people after. I sat around for about an hour. I took cards from them. I took their resumes. I'm making some connections and doing what I can. So that really does help. And you just have to remember that in this industry and any others, that when you're networking, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a sure thing right away. You're going to have lots of conversations possibly before it adds up to something of value for you. But you have to be out there starting to have those conversations. One thing I mentioned at the career fair is you should definitely follow up on kind of casual conversation. I pointed out that a lot of times I said to people, oh, we should try this or that. I got into this business because I had a business partner. She became my business partner. She was at first my jeweler, and she was designing some stuff for me. She was actually producing my own designs. And one time I said very casually to her, would you like to go into business together if you made this for me? And she was like, oh, okay. So people could drop things that sound kind of casual, or you might be shy about following up. And don't be, especially if it's someone like me who's like, hey, maybe we should try this. I mean, you should give me a call, but you've got to take the initiative. I said this very clearly at the career fair. I was like, I'm looking for people who can set 400 1mm stones perfectly. I was like, call me. I do want to warn people who have visions of millions of dollars dancing in their head that the jewelry industry is definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's more like a lose your money slowly over decades scheme. It's tough. We have very expensive raw materials. So you see pieces of jewelry that are priced at $100,000 or $1 million, and you think that's all profit. And sometimes people, you know, if it comes in the Tiffany box, they're like, it's all about the packaging, it's all about the branding. Well, this work itself is very expensive to do. You are working with gold, you are working with platinum. It's different from other arts where you might be an artist painting with oil paints on canvas. That has its cost too, but it's not a gold canvas. If you're making jewelry in the USA, the cost of labor here is very expensive. When I spoke about needing 400 1mm garnet set, which is something I did do for my Marie Antoinette earrings, you pay by stone. I pay by stone. And in the US, it could easily be $10 to set each tiny stone. If you want it to be high end, like my ultra luxury designs, museum-worthy wearable art, you're gonna have to pay for it. If you do the same work and you can get high quality work in, say, Hong Kong, it'll be $1 to set a stone. So right away you can see the pricing problem. I'm spending $4,000 on labor alone for a piece like that, whereas in Hong Kong someone would be paying $400. All of that is reflected in the price of the piece. And that reminds me of something I've been meaning to say. It just really hit me we did the couture show in Vegas, me and Erin, who's there behind the camera. And I was talking about my limited edition pieces. You know, a lot of my gold pieces are one of a kind or limited edition. And it finally hit me that my limited edition, I'm so used to it. It didn't hit me that it's totally different from a lot of other limited edition items you'll find, because the way to do things, the way to manufacture goods and save costs is to do as much as you can of the style at once, because that brings down the price per unit. It's economy of scale. You're doing quantity and you get a lower price. However, you still have to pay for all of those pieces, so you need more money to start. So because of the expense of my work, of the raw materials and the intricate designs and doing it in the US, when I say something is a limited edition, I haven't spent the money to do, 500 at a time, 200 at a time, even 10 of the same style at a time. I do one piece at a time because that's what I can pay for. You don't want to be doing 10 pieces that have 400 1mm garnets in them. So when I say something is limited edition, it means that when I sell that piece, then I make another of the same style. That said, when I sell that piece, who knows what I'll be working on then? Maybe I'll be more passionate about a new design. Maybe I'll just be backed up with custom engagement rings. So I always tell people it's subject to being all of a sudden a one-of-a-kind piece, which is great for the customer who buys it, not so great for the customer who hasn't bought it and is thinking, I'm going to buy it down the line. Maybe I'll get to doing another one in a year, maybe in 2 years, maybe I'll decide I'm never doing it again because I have so many designs that I want to do. I mean, the list is endless. So because of pricing issues involved in jewelry, my limited edition pieces are rare, rare, rare. So getting back to specific opportunities in the jewelry industry that I've seen at my level of the ultra luxury wearable art museum quality piece, it's exactly as I mentioned, with looking for a setter who can work at such a high level. In the industry, we've really lost at least one generation of great artists. Things started to be done on computer because that's less expensive, and especially once things are done by computer instead of handmade, why not just send it overseas? So a lot of work went overseas by computer, being done in China, being done in Thailand, and there were great people here who had to get some other line of work. One of my favorite setters started working at a bank just in the past year or two because he had so little work. And that's very sad because, as happens, the pendulum swings And now I find that people are often very tired of the very mass-produced look, the not special look. Now they're looking for something special, and there aren't enough people who can carve by hand beautiful, intricate wax models who can set the gems so that they look perfect under a microscope. So that's a real opportunity if you are interested in being a bench jeweler, or you're studying to be a bench jeweler, anything, or you're carving wax, you're starting to be a sculptor. There are a lot of opportunities there, and seriously, call me. I can hook you up, because we've been looking for people like that. So if you're working with your hands, that is a definite opportunity in the industry right now. For people who want to sell jewelry, whether you're a designer or a store, there's kind of a weird amount of opportunity right now, even though recently quite a few brick and mortar stores have gone out of business, because there is so much change in our culture overall and how we sell and purchase things. For a very long time, all jewelry designers were stuck with a brick and mortar store as the middleman. Everything had to be sold wholesale, or you were a serious private jeweler and you sold to individuals at usually very high-end pieces. And so you had to be funneled through these stores. And then the stores took advantage of that by insisting that they would get all of the jewelry on consignment, which is an issue I've written about before. You can click the link under this video to read more about that. But just to go over it quickly now, what consignment means would be a store would place an order, and then you would deliver all the jewelry. It could be $250,000 worth of jewelry, it could be $3 million worth of jewelry, and they would be like, hey, we'll pay you for individual pieces whenever those sell. Basically, from that, you could get zero money from them for a very long time, which doesn't really happen in the selling of other goods. I've heard in the past people at stores say, but how could we afford to pay for something so expensive? I don't know, like how do people pay for anything? I mean, I have to pay my vendors, I have to pay the mortgage, I have to pay the electricity bills. No one accepts an IOU that says, you know, whenever I get the money from so-and-so, now I'll pay you. So it really was something where they took advantage of designers for a very long time in a kind of ridiculous way, and because we had no choice, it happened. Now, designers have all kinds of opportunities to sell by social media, Instagram, Pinterest. I mean, I started blogging in 2007. That kept my business going during a huge recession. And I would recommend anyone, whether you're a designer or, you know, looking to open some kind of other business, to look into all these opportunities. Definitely do not get caught up in 100% consignment situation. I will say that I have, you know, this year announced, no, it was last year, right, Erin? Announced my concierge program, which involves working with very awesome customer service focused stores. And we kind of do a mini version of consignment, because it's people who really know their customers. They look through our concierge book. They can request things that they want to sell, to show specific customers. We send them out. They get 2 weeks to show their, you know, their private clients, and hopefully with a glass of champagne or at least sparkling water or something, you know, make it like, you know, an experience, which is something you can't order from the internet. Like, you know, stores now have to offer an experience. But after 2 weeks, if they don't sell anything, they send it back. So you see that it's just like a new take on an old idea. I have it out for a limited amount of time. I know that the retailers are really good. I know that they understand my work and are educated in it. So it's just using your creativity to deal with the selling process now. Everyone should get paid for what they do. That's, as I like to say, why they call work work and not rainbows and unicorns flying out of my ass. So even if you're a brand new designer, just keep it in mind. You don't want to be giving stuff away. You don't want to do work for the exposure, because as people point out, folks die from exposure. I'll be giving more general career advice in the near future, but if you have any specific questions about the jewelry industry, feel free to leave them in my comments, and I'll either answer you in the comments, or if it seems appropriate, I will do another video. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss seeing me next week.